So if we go and look at that app we have so far, sure it's a little personalized from whatever you put here and here, but it's still a pretty generic Create React app. So we're going to want to go in and make that actual website. Uh, you can tell there's a lot of complicated source code that goes into here. Uh, for instance, all of this code really just makes a couple lines. If we want to speed it up, there's a whole bunch of component libraries that are open source and free from React. If you go into here on the React.js community and go into UI components, they have a list of community supported component libraries basically where you can go in and download these so that you can use any pre-built components and then style them however you want your website to look. If you want, go through and take a look at a couple of these, see if anything matches your styling. But for now, the one I usually like to use is called Material UI. And Material UI is based on Google's Material coding guidelines for general front-end UI. So it gives you a pretty clean feel. It'll look like most of the Google pages that you see. It's clean, it's easy to navigate, and there's a lot of styling guidelines that are already built out because of Google. So this framework right here is specifically for React, and once we get started with that, you'll have access to all sorts of components and themes. We can actually go and look at a couple of them here. So say you want a switch in somewhere in your website. These are pre-built out components and they're very easy to use. They got great documentation, simple things like buttons, checkboxes, everything will be already inside of there whenever you want to change the styling or build something out. So we know that this Material UI will speed up your development, but how exactly do we get that into the app? Let's go back to this terminal window. From here, you're going to want to create a new shell. So up here on the top, go to New Window, and just a basic window. And remember before how we navigated around inside of terminal, you're going to want to navigate into wherever this website's stored. So here's my desktop tutorials, and if you want to double check, it should be in here with that ls command. And let's see what we called it, website tutorial. Go into there, and just a quick another tip on terminal, if you want to get rid of some of the stuff that's up there, just type in clear. It'll keep wherever you've navigated to. But let's go ahead and set up this Material UI inside of our app. So if you're using Yarn or if you're using NPM, there's a pretty similar way that you'll install things with the package manager. For Yarn, we'll do yarn add, and if you want to double check what the package name is called, you can go back into this Material UI Getting Started Guide, and it'll show you right here npm install or yarn add. So let's go ahead and put that in. Yarn add at Material UI core. And then this will start downloading the package into your source code. And whether you're using npm or yarn, you'll have one of these little files. If it's yarn, it'll be a yarn lock. If it's npm, it should be maybe a package lock, package JSON lock. And from there, you can see these dependencies, and these are all the things that are installed every time you want to run your app. So say you switch to a computer, went on your GitHub, downloaded the repository off of GitHub, and now you want to run it on a different computer. Next time you start it, it'll reinstall all of these packages. Let's see if this finished downloading. Yep. So we got Material UI in there, and it should be inside of your yarn lock now. Material UI core. There you go. A couple of things you need to use within Material UI just to make sure everything goes smoothly. You're going to want to have these fonts and font icons. So you'll install that in the same way that you did Material UI with Yarn or NPM. And let's see, go back in and make sure we have that Roboto font. So Yarn, add, I believe it's typeface. Yeah, typeface Roboto. Okay. There we go. So we've got our fonts, and then we also want our icons installed in there. They have a great icon library, all these things you see up here. Little things like search bars or the little hamburger button that you usually see at the top left corner that expands. All of those will be within the Material UI icon library. So let's add that too. And let's add Material UI / icons. So once you get started installing those, you can go ahead and see it, make sure everything's inside of your yarn lock or your package lock JSON, and that basically means that you're ready to get started adding these into the actual React app. When you add things into your app that are downloaded from a package, that's why you see these import statements at the top up here. So for instance, if we want to import some component from within Material UI, we'll have import component from at Material UI core, which is what we just installed. So let's think about what components we want to use to start building a website.